It's a bit of a convoluted setup, this one. You have to click on the computers in there, then come back and click here. And then we finally get live. Namashreshtam manum api sachi putram atra swarupam rupam tasya grajam uruparim maturim gostavatam radhakundam girivaram aho radhika madhavasam prapto yasya pratita kripaya shri gurum tam natosmi Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we're continuing to read from the Madhya Lila, chapter 25. It is the final chapter of Madhya Lila, entitled The Residents of Varanasi Become Vaishnavas. The residents of Varanasi are converted, Jai Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Jai Gurudev, from Mayavad to Bhakti, from impersonalism to theism. And this pastime was covered extensively in Adi Lila chapter 7. But it's bits that were not covered in Adi Lila chapter 7 are being covered here, the final chapter of Madhya Lila. So it's not quite chronologically smooth, the whole of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because, as we've mentioned a couple of times before, Krishnadas Kaviraj was very, very old when he was writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Perhaps 92, very old. And so as expected at that age, there are the health is very frail, so there are various ups and downs. So at times when he felt that he may be about to depart, he wrote down hurriedly portions of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he hadn't yet put on paper, that he prioritized as being absolutely essential just to record them for posterity. So he wrote those and put them in the book. And then when his health stabilized and recovered, he continued chronologically with the rest of the book. So we have bits that are later pastimes of Mahaprabhu that are recorded in earlier portions of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Adi Lila, of course, is the first portion of Mahaprabhu's life. Adi Lila ends when Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, the date of which we remembered a couple of days ago. So Mahaprabhu was only 23 when he took sannyas, left Navadvip. That's known as the Adi Lila. Adi Lila finishes at that junction. So it's well before this pastime of the conversion of the Mayavad sannyasis of Varanasi. And chapter 7 is early to midway through Adi Lila. So it's well before. So Krishnadas Kaviraj is just including it as he saw it as absolutely essential to be recorded in case he passed away before he could finish the work. And the same is true with the first two chapters of this section, Madhya Lila, where he's describing Antya Lila. He's describing the Madhura, the Vipralamba bhav of Gauranga Mahaprabhu in the last 12 years of his life. It's described in chapter 2. The rasa and the bhava goes parabolic. Again, that belongs in Antya Lila, but he's put it at the beginning of Madhya Lila for the same reason. He felt it essential to be recorded. So he got it down on paper in case anything happened before he could finish the book. So here we are at Madhya Lila chapter text, Madhya Lila chapter 25. And Mahaprabhu is replying to Prakashananda Saraswati. And he's talking about the gist of bhakti and the Chatu Sloki of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is these are the core slokas of the Bhagavad Purana. There's a Chatu Sloki in both the Bhagavad Gita and Chatusloki in the Bhagavad Purana. And this Chatusloki is considered the 4 original slokas, whether they were these slokas given word for word by Brahmata Narad, or whether it was a gist form and then transformed into a sloka by Narad. We don't know. But these are the 4 kind of original seed verses of the Bhagavad Purana that were then later extrapolated, expanded, fleshed out into what we have now. How many verses in the Bhagavad Purana?
18,000.
18,000, correct, yeah. And to the from 4 to 18,000, that's quite an expansion.
So what's the difference between the Chatusloka of the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam?
Well, you could say what's the difference between the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita?
I mean, are they similar in the meaning and essence?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. I mean, the Bhagavad Gita Chatusloki Mashyata Madgata Prana Bodhiyanta Parasparam Katayantas Chamam Nitsham Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha Tesham Satati Yuktanam Bhajitam Pratipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upajanti Te. Then the first one is actually Aham Sarvasva Prabhava Mata Sarvam Pravatate Iti Matva Bhajantimam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. So that, I mean, it begins with that, right? Aham, everything rests on me. Aham Sarvasva Prabhava Mata Sarvam Pravatate Iti Matva Bhajantimam Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. The wise that know that everything rests in me, as like I am the supreme controller, they worship me with devotion. That kind of basic, broad premise, which is the beginnings of bhakti. And then Mashyata Madgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Katayantas Chamam Nicham Tushyanti Ramansha. Then once that surrender process has begun, then through discussions of me, which becomes the very life of the devotees, Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha, and they enjoy great pleasure from conversing about me. Tesham Satata Yuktanam. Through that worship, and during the course of that worship, I provide the light, shine a light on the path, give them direction, step by step, the intelligence by which they can make further progress and come to me. I mean, those are the Chatusloki of the Gita. And the Bhagavatam, yeah, to an extent. I mean, we've just already read 2 of them. 2933, and yeah, so I mean, here we have Aham ivasam ivagre nanyad yad asat param paschad aham yad etascha yo vashishyete som smyaham. Prior to the cosmic manifestation, only I exist and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. So that's the first Chatusloka of the Bhagavatam. So in a sense, yeah, it can be compared to Aham Sarvasva Prabhava. It's just like broad pronouncements of the supremacy of Krishna prior to the cosmic manifestation, the eternality. Only I exist, no other phenomena. The transcendence of Krishna. And the second one, Rite ritam yat pratiyeta, na pratiyeta chatmani, tad vidyad atmano mayam, yatabaso yatatamaha. What appears to be truth without me is certainly my illusory energy, for nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows, for in the light there are neither shadows nor reflections. Establishing the truth and transcendence of Bhagavan. Similar themes. So we are on, and the second 2 will be mentioned very shortly, the second two, the remaining Chatusloki. So, the verse we finished on yesterday was text 120. Abhideya sarana bhaktira sunaha vichara saravajana desha kala deshati vyaptiyara. Now please hear from me about the process of devotional service, which is applicable in any country, for any person, at all times and in all circumstances. The point being that bhakti does not come under the purview, under the control, domination of any material phenomenon. The Maya Shakti has no say in matters of bhakti. So bhakti can move as it pleases. Bhakti goes where it chooses to go. Bhakti breeds bhakti. Bhakti brings more bhakti. Just like money can bring more money. Sometimes they say making your first million is the most difficult. And after your first million, the second, third, fourth million is not so difficult. Why? Because you've got money to invest in bigger things. Whereas when you start off with small capital, then doubling that, quadrupling that is difficult. But once you've accumulated a certain amount of capital, then further growth becomes easier. So it's the same with bhakti. Bhakti breeds bhakti. If one is bankrupt regarding bhakti, then the development of a certain amount of substantial bhakti can be difficult. But once a certain premise has been established, then bhakti grows naturally. And it grows free from the constraints of the environment, so nothing can constrain it. Nothing can force it to flow down certain channels or dictate how it behaves. Nothing can squash it. That's why one of the qualities of bhakti is apratihata, or hoitaki. Apratihata cannot be blocked. And then, of course, we have to add the caveat, except for Vaishnava Parad can damage bhakti. Nothing else can. Some things are not helpful. They may not fuel your bhakti. They may not promote bhakti. These things are listed in Upadeshamrita. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpaniyamagraha, etc. We know that verse number 2. But Sadbir bhakti vinashyati. Nasha means to destroy. In this sense that they don't destroy accumulated bhakti, but they compromise your ability to make any further bhakti. Vinashyati. Nasha is a generic term. It can be translated as damage or destruction. Nasha, vinasha, pranasha. But the only thing that can actually clear out your bhakti account is Vaishnava Parad. Apart from that, bhakti is apratihata. So, as the verse says, devotional service is applicable in any country for any person at all times and all circumstances, which is tantamount to saying that no material circumstance, condition or context can exert control over how bhakti behaves, chooses to manifest. Dharmadi vishaye yaiche echari vichara sadhana bhakti echari vicharera para. As far as religious principles are concerned, there is a consideration of the person, the country, the time, and the circumstances. In devotional service, however, there are no such considerations. Devotional service is transcendental to all considerations. As we have the saying, there are no hard and fast rules when chanting the holy name. The only rules that, if they are hard and fast rules, is what Trinada pi sunichena. And then everything else will fall into place. But in terms of traditional considerations of purity, ritual purity, and times for particular mantras, and qualifications in terms of the chanter of the mantra, who is qualified to receive a mantra, These are all considerations in the dispensation of Vedic mantras, in that tradition. None of that applies to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So none of that applies to devotional service. Really, in Vaidhi Bhakti, yes, but in devotional service, there's no such constraints, really, because it's ultimately something of the heart. Vaidhi Bhakti, in terms of worship of the deity, needs to maintain a certain standard of purity. But ultimately, that's also overtaken by Raga, because Vaidhi Bhakti is there to serve, to open up the heart. It's not there as a destination in itself. It's there as a method, as a set of rules. The rules are designed so that the rules can be overcome eventually. The rules are designed so that one's heart can be purified to an extent where it doesn't need rules. The heart is the rule. Raga is the rule. Prema is the guiding principle. But when it comes to dharma, there are always rules and regulations. That's why this text says, Dharmadi vishaye yaiche e chari vichara. Vichara, principles, rules. Chari vichara, 4 rules. Wonder why Prabhupada doesn't translate it as 4 rules. E chari vichara. Oh, I see. Okay. 4 rules. Person, time, country, right, so the context, the person, the country, the time, and the atmosphere. I guess that means the particular immediate context. Text 122. Sarvadesha kala deshaya janera kartavya guru bhashe se bhakti prastavya shratavya. It is therefore the duty of every man in every country, in every circumstance, and at all times, to approach the bona fide spiritual master, question him about devotional service, and listen to him explain the process. Etavad eva jigyasam tattva jigyasunatmanaha anavya vyatirekabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. A person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it, to know about the all-pervading truth. That's the 4th verse. Chatusloki, Bhagavatam. Amate ye prati se prema prayojana karya dvare kahitara svarupa lakshana. Supreme affection for me is called love of Godhead, and that is the ultimate goal of life. Let me explain by practical example the natural characteristics of such love. Panchabhuta yaiche bhutara bitere bihare bhaktagane spuri ami bahire antare. The 5 material elements are existing inside and outside of every living entity. Similarly, I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, am manifest within the heart of the devotee as well as outside his body. Yata mahanti bhutani bhute sucha vacheshvanu pravishtan ya pravistani tata teshu nateshvaham. As the material elements enter the bodies of all living beings and yet remain outside them all, I exist within all material creations and yet am not within them. Bhakta ama preme bandi ache hridaya bitare yahan netra paritahan dekaye amare. A highly elevated devotee can bind me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his heart by love. Wherever he looks, he sees me and nothing else. Visvrijati hridayam nayasya shakshad darir avasha bihito Pyagoghanasaha pranaya rasanaya dritangri padma sabhavati bhagavata pradana uktaha. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who destroys everything inauspicious for his devotees, does not leave the hearts of his devotees, even if they remember him and chant about him inattentively. This is because the rope of love always binds the Lord within the devotees' hearts. Such devotees should be accepted as most elevated. Sarva bhuteshu ya pasyed bhagavad bhavam atmanaha bhutani bhagavat yatmanyi esha bhagavato tamaha. A person advanced in devotional service sees everything within the soul of souls, sees within everything the soul of souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he always sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes, and understands that all things are situated in him. So Mahaprabhu is giving the very gist, very basics, essentials of the foundation of bhakti, telling this to Prakashananda. These are the essential difference between impersonalism and bhakti, between Mayavad and bhakti. Gayanti uchur amum evasam hataha vijikyur unmattakavad vanad vanam praprachur akashavad antaram bahir bhuteshu santam purusham vanaspatin. All the gopis assembled to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna very loudly. They began to wander from one forest to another like mad women. They began to inquire about the Lord, who is situated in all living entities, internally and externally. Indeed, they even asked all the plants and vegetables about him, the Supreme Person. Ataiva bhagavate etene kaya sambandha abhideya prayojanamaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, one's relationship with the Lord, activities and devotional service, and the attainment of the highest goal of life, love of Godhead, are the subject matters of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is what Mahaprabhu is essentially introducing Prakashananda Saraswati to, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the Bhagavatam was not studied so much by the Mayavadis. They didn't really like it. Why didn't they like it? Any guesses?
It's a personalist text.
Yes, so it establishes the supremacy of Bhagavan and establishes bhakti as the supreme relationship between the jiva and Bhagavan. And that of course is antithetical to the Mayavad concept. They see themselves as Narayan. Aham Brahmasmi. It's the favorite phrase, favorite saying of the Mayavadis. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that. I am Brahma. I am God. When the Mayavadi sannyasis greet each other, it's with the greeting Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. I am greeting Narayan.
Okay. I didn't know they would greet each other.
You didn't know, now you know.
Very happy.
Om Namo Narayanaya. When Mahaprabhu arrived in Puri and he was met by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya goes to him, Om Namo Narayanaya.
Oh,
And Mahaprabhu goes, Krishner Matirastu. And Sarvabhauma goes, hang on, what did you say that for?
What is that? That sentence exactly?
Krishner Matirastu. Like everything goes to Krishna. We're servants of Krishna. So that is their conception. That's their vada, their philosophy. And of course it's antithetical to bhakti. Now, it's not saying the devotees don't accept that one can merge with the Supreme Lord, with the form or the energy of the Lord. That's definitely possible. There are 6 types of what is known as moksha, liberation. One of them is merging with the impersonal. 6 or 5. Anyone remember them all?
I know what the impersonal liberation is.
Sayuja. Sayuja, and then there's Salokya, which is living on the same planet as Bhagavan. And then Samipya, living in proximity, like as a neighbor. And then Shasti, which is having the same opulence. And then Sarupya, so I think there's 5. Sarupya is having the same form, or a similar form as the Lord. So devotees will accept 4 of those. Because, why? Because in 4 of them, there's an opportunity, there's a capacity for devotional service. Love, loving relationship between the person and God. But with Sayuja, there's no such opportunity for a loving relationship. It's a merging. It's a merging of the jiva with the Supreme. Impersonal, Sayuja. So that is shunned as it does not offer the opportunity for devotional service. But that is the goal of the Mayavadis. So the essential distinction is that one seeks to merge with God and the other seeks to develop a loving relationship with God. And the Bhagavatam, describing the personality of Krishna, the all-attractive nature of Krishna, and thus the bhakti that relates to that, which is Madhura Bhakti, the beauty of Krishna, naturally elicits Madhura, sweetness, the Madhura Rasa, that sweet relationship. So this is the essence of the Bhagavatam. And so first Mahaprabhu explains the Chatusloki, which is the foundation of the Bhagavatam, and then he touches on the later, the pinnacle concepts of the Bhagavatam, which is all the gopis assembled to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna, otherwise Gopi Bhava, the mood of the gopis, the Madhura Rasa of the gopis. So he's explaining this, because, of course, this is the basis of bhakti as given by Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So he's explaining it to Prakashananda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, one's relationship with the Lord, activities and devotional service, and the attainment of the highest goal of life, love of Godhead, are the subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tattvavidas tattvam yajjnanam advayam prameti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabdyate. The absolute truth is known by self-realized souls as a unified identity known by different names. Impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's not that Vaishnavas deny that God is impersonal, but that the impersonal feature does not offer the highest form of connection with God. Love does not offer that. But all options are there. If one does want to be God as such, then they can merge with God. But if one wants to have a loving relationship with God, then that's a different story. So it depends on one's conception and goal, what determines what one identifies as the highest goal of life. The Paramatma, as explained here, the 5 material elements, which of course are earth, water, fire, air, bhumi, apo, nalo, vayu, earth, water, fire, air, and space, exist both within and without the body, as the 5 elements, panchabhuti, that make up the physical environment of the body and also the inanimate physical environment outside of the body. So Krishna says both he is in the body and outside, as Brahman outside and as the localized aspect, Paramatma, sitting with everyone in the heart. So the famous verse, Vedanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajganam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabjati. Three phases of God, three phases of the Absolute that are one. God is one, yet manifest as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan eka ashedam agra atmatmanam vibhu atmechcha gatav atma ananmat yupalakshanaha. Before the cosmic manifestation was created, the creative propensity was merged in his person. At that time, all potencies and manifestations were preserved in the personality of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is the cause of all causes, and he is the all-pervading, self-sufficient person. Before the creation, he existed with his spiritual potency in the spiritual world, wherein various Vaikuntha planets are manifest. Eta chamsa kalapumsha krishnastu bhagavan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam ridayanti yuge yuge. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Eta sambandha shuna abhidaya bhakti bhagavate prati shloke vyape arastiti. This is one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now please hear about the execution of devotional service. This principle pervades practically all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Read a sub-chapter from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisandra Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. We're on a new sub-chapter as of yesterday, entitled Serving Under Proper Guidance. And this sub-chapter is entitled Chant Hare Krishna and Be Happy. Mahaprabhu very humbly replied to Prakashananda Saraswati. It's interesting how what we're reading here and what we're reading in the Chaitanya Charitamrita are both in accord. It's an interesting coincidence.
It happens often. Oh yeah.
Mahaprabhu is talking to Prakashananda Saraswati just now, what we've been reading about the Bhagavatam. And when we open up here, in this chapter, Gurudev is talking about Mahaprabhu's instructions to Prakashananda Saraswati, the exact same topic.
Did Srila Govinda Maharaj say that he wrote this book maybe according to the structure of the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
No, he didn't write this book as such. Mainly it's transcripts of his talks.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
And it was compiled, it's cut and paste essentially, this book. Compiled according to various themes. So bits taken here and put into thematic groups. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Mahaprabhu very humbly replied to Prakashananda Saraswati, "Oh sir, what can I say? My mind was not good when I took sannyas." So this is the bit which is covered in chapter 7 of Adi Lila, the initial contact with Mahaprabhu and Prakashananda. What can I say? My mind was not good when I took sannyas. I needed relief from the mundane environment. My mind went in a very renounced way, and I could not stay in the Grihastha ashram. I came to my guru and prayed, "Give me sannyas." Also, when I was initiated, I asked, "What is my duty?" My guru said, "Murkha tumi tomara nahika vedantadikara, Krishna mantra japa sada, e mantra sada." You are foolish and unqualified. It is not necessary for you to read anything. You have no qualifications to hear or read the Vedanta Darshan. You will not be able to understand its meanings. But you are coming to me for some advice, so I must tell you something. What can you do? You can simply do what is necessary for the age of Kali. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam, Kalo nasteva, 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 gatiranyata. No one can achieve liberation in this age of Kali without chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only way to discover your true nature and serve Krishna eternally. If you can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offense, you will get a very good result. You will feel Krishna Prem and get everything. Purely chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the goal of human life. You have a renounced nature and you have fortunately taken a human birth. So chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That is sufficient for you. It is not necessary for you to read the Vedanta Darshan or anything else. So Mahaprabhu is teaching humility to the proud Mayavad sannyasis through this relating what his guru allegedly said to him. It's not quite factually true. Mahaprabhu's guru is Ishwarapuri. But Mahaprabhu is saying this nonetheless to establish the supremacy of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Kali Yuga and to dismantle the pride of Prakashananda Saraswati. Because essentially what happens in the Jnana Yoga, the analytical study of the Vedanta Sutra, is that one weed that can grow along with the cultivation of jnana is pride. Pride is known as mada. It's one of the Shadripu, 6 enemies. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. And so mada grows along with the cultivation of knowledge. It is like the...
Side effect?
Well, mada, one who cultivates jnana, is predisposed to such. It's like a predisposition, like certain organs have predisposition to certain diseases or what have you. So jnana has a predisposition to mada. So you could say maybe side effect, something like that. There's a weakness for that particular fault to appear. It can be devastating if it's not nipped in the bud and allowed to run rampant. Mada. And so Mahaprabhu is addressing that immediately as the chief obstacle in Prakashananda and his followers, this pride. And once the pride has been reduced, then with that humility, they can appreciate the holy name, appreciate the concepts of bhakti. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadeva Swami Maharaj Gurudeva Ki Jai. Hari Haraya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Hari Gopinath Madana Moha. Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunatha. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunatha.
Jai Goshai Kori Chara Ramadana. Jai Goshai Gamuri Sharadasa. Sabara Padare Vimora Panchadasa. Harira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivasa. Janame Janami Mohe Abhinasha. Echai Goshai Gabe Baje Koilo Basa. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakasha. Jai Saprikashi Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Girid Hariju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pachla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Pachla Bhakti Rakshita Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Guru Vaga Ki Jai. Namacharya Krishna Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Kosi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Shri Krishna's Kaviraj Ki Jai. Jai Reveal Truth Ki Jai. Jai Tusi Devotee Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gop Premanand.
You said 6 way of liberation?
5 or 6 or something, yeah.
Okay. And 4
Maybe
of them.
5. Only 5 came to mind, so maybe there's another one.
No, it's fine, but you said 4 of them. The Vaishnavas are...
Samipya, Sarupya, Salokya, Shashti. Yeah, I think. And then Sayutra is the impersonal one.
Among those 5, let's say 5, among those 5, 4 of them actually are adopted by the Vaishnavas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Were the cameras still on?
Sorry?
Cameras still on?
What? Yeah, that gets turned off sometime. Or now.
What's that, bro? Yeah.